So I wanted to talk today about positioning. Positioning sounds like kind of a fancy word, but it's really not. Positioning is just figuring out how you're going to build a perception that you want to put out in the world. This is part of branding, but positioning is really about really learning and getting very clear on the specific way that you're going to stand out from all your competitors. When you're starting out, it's exciting, right? But it can be so overwhelming. So there's really important steps to look at before you launch your business and put out there in the world the perception that you're building. Because you want to get clear on this perception and how you're going to show up in the minds of your customer relative to your competitors. That is positioning. So first, you need to define your target audience, your customers, your clients, and you need to get clear on who that ideal customer is. And this is something that we do in the brand strategy workshops, but it's important for you to suss this out on your own to know who your customer that you're targeting is. So who would benefit most from your product or service? Not who do you want to work with sometimes. Sometimes who we want to work with isn't the person that's going to benefit the most. But think about who would benefit the most from your product or service and consider their demographics, their interests, their pain points, anything that could be relevant for you to know about in order to really provide them with the most value from your product or your service. So your target audience is really what should guide you to making the decisions for your products and also in your marketing. So next, you're going to research your competition and your competitors. So identify your main competitors. There may be just a few or there may be a lot. So look at businesses that are offering similar products or services and analyze where they're strong, where they're weak, and what they're saying, what their messages are. So what are they doing well? And what are the things that they aren't doing that you could fill in the gaps on, right? So this helps you understand where your business can fit in the market and how you can differentiate. And that's why it's called positioning, because you can literally position your product or your service in the market so that it fits into a gap that maybe your competitors aren't doing or aren't offering. So during this analysis, when you're looking at these competitors, you can look for unmet needs or underserved customer segments. Maybe your competitors are all focused on premium pricing, so you might be able to sort of fill in the gap for a more competitive pricing option, but maybe they're not addressing a specific feature with their services or their products. You can fill in that gap. So you get the point here. So finding the gaps that kind of help you carve out your own special space. And then once you've done that research, you can create and craft what we call a unique value proposition. So we also call this the UVP. So it's what sets you apart from your competitors. It's a statement. It's often we use it in messaging. It's really a promise that you make to your customers about what they can expect when they choose to work with you. So even if you're just starting out and you kind of have no clue, your UVP should still be clear and compelling. And you can try it on for size. You can, throw it out there and get feedback. So an example might be, so we offer handcrafted skincare products that are 100% natural, eco-friendly, and at prices that everybody can afford. Now, I know that this might sound kind of generic, but you get the idea. This is sort of how you would craft your statement. You can fill in the blanks on your own uniqueness and, where you can offer sort of a differentiated product or service. So now that you've created your UVP, you can also look at starting with a small niche market. So instead of trying to appeal to everyone, and this might be something you might need to do to sort of explore and get feedback and maybe find your niche. Sometimes you can find your niche right away, and other times your niche sort of evolves over time. So consider that. But a niche market allows you to actually create a very strong, small but loyal customer base that can help give you direction for your branding and all your marketing efforts. So And if you establish yourself, once you establish yourself in this niche, then you can expand later on. Sometimes it works that way. Sometimes it works kind of backwards and the other way. It's sort of a thing where you have to play around and experiment and iterate and see. So your brand message, though, that should be clear, and it should clearly communicate who you are, what you do, and why it all matters, right? And so this particular message, it should be something that resonates with your target customer or audience. So you want to keep it simple. You want to be consistent with this, right? And you want to make sure that it's aligned with your UVP. So it matches with your unique value proposition. Or maybe you're using your unique value proposition. So this message actually is the foundation for your marketing, and it could be reflected in your website. It could be on your social media. It could be everywhere. We can reuse this messaging over and over to build recognition and to create that sort of immediate sort of connection with your brand. So finally, as a brand identity designer, someone who is very much aware of visual language, I can't stress enough the importance of a strong visual identity. So your logo, your color palette, your typography, they should all work together, right? To sort of support your unique value proposition, to communicate the values that you've established in your business, and to make it easy for customers to recognize you, right? So remember, simplicity and clarity are super important. And this is really important when you're first starting out, because you don't want to muddy messaging and you don't want to make things harder than it already is. So once you've defined your positioning, then you can apply it consistently across all the touch points in your business. So like I was saying, in your website, your social media, but you've got to be consistent about this. Consistency is really, really important. And the more consistent you are, the stronger your brand position will become in the market. And this becomes what sets you apart, and people know you for this. So positioning your business could seem a little challenging, but it is an important and critical step that I think every small business should take. And if you're going to dive into creating a small business, you might as well think intentionally about how you're going to craft that specific, unique business, and what gaps are you going to fill relative to where your competitors are. So all of this helps you carve out that little space that's in the minds of your customers, right? Builds recognition. And every time they see you, or they see some visual representation of you, or maybe it's not a visual representation, maybe it's a specific phrase that you use or a message that you say, something that's consistent over and over. Every time they see that, they know it's you. And that starts to build trust and credibility. So that's it on the positioning. I will probably include some things in the newsletter to sort of help guide you in the right direction, a little Mad Lib type of deal. So if you want to create your own, you can use that little template that I'm going to provide. At any rate, I hope you all have a beautiful day.